MomoCon. It's Atlanta's answer to Comic-Con. You won't want to miss it.
All right. We're going to get started with our first interview. And we're going to with some questions from the first panel.
Carnell from Carnell Holley Pictures. So I am glad that Hilton George introduced Sound Like formally. But as far as being here at MomoCon, what are your experiences so far? How are you feeling about it?
I mean, this is amazing. I love being in places where everyone can just be fully themselves and kind of the biggest, brightest, loudest versions of themselves. And it feels to me like it's just a perfect entry for the world that we want to create, is being surrounded by people who are also creating worlds. So it's a really great opportunity.
Yeah, I myself, this is only my second con that I've ever been to. My first one being BlurredCon back in March, which was fantastic. And I was saying the same thing to Madura and Camille yesterday, that I also feel like it's such a space where everyone can come and express themselves. And it's just a great mixture of everyone's passions, art, everything that they love. So it's been really, really fun. And we've had a wonderful time talking to so many people about what we're here to do and what we're here to promote. So it's been really fun.
Oh, I echo everything that they said. We've had an incredible time here, and I think one thing that I have really, really loved is that you can go through the exhibition hall and people have advertised what they're doing so well that I can see people like making a beeline for everything that they're interested in, and there's just so many opportunities for things for all of the fandoms, and that's just been so wonderful to see.
James Moore, podcast. How did you all become drawn to Magic School Bus?
So we are creating a show that's essentially a modern day Magic School Bus, and we are all scientists, and we used to work for the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and we were really feeling this gap in terms of how kids are receiving science information, and we want kids to receive information in a way that's really accessible and fun for them. And so we have designed a whole new cast of characters. They're middle school age. There's a friend group of 5 characters. And then similar to Magic School Bus, they dive into science adventures in every episode. And so we have a panel today that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be showing a little bit of our animatic at the panel and our theme song for the show.
Yeah, and just to expand on that a little bit as far as like what really drew us to Magic School Bus and also as an inspiration for our show, I firmly believe, I think we all do, that all kids are natural scientists and they're natural, just curious minds and adventurous minds, and they're always absorbing things and asking such thoughtful questions. And I think through life, sometimes that gets beaten out of us. And so I think what drew us all to Magic School Bus as kids is just that concept that, yes, when you're that age, your mind is so open and you have so many questions, and we're all just natural born scientists. And so having a piece of content like that catered to that open mind really was like one of the reasons why we all got inspired to actually become scientists in our real lives. So with Middle of Everything, we know that not every kid who watches the show is going to become a scientist, but it will either maybe stimulate their interest in science, or it will just teach them a little bit of how to critically think. So either way are both are great outcomes.
I want to follow up on that real quick. You're all scientists, women of color. STEM programs trying to keep young girls into the sciences are hard, because pretty much the statistics say that they 12. What is it that you see that can be improved upon to try to retain some interest or help them through that, I guess, developmental stage in their lives to stay interested through high school, college, maybe pursue a career?
I love that. I mean, to me, so I didn't know what an epidemiologist was when I was 12 or 14 or 16 or 20. And I also had no idea how much it would apply to me in my own life. It wasn't until I was in my doctorate program in behind an Ivy wall that I saw my demographic being on every PowerPoint slide, being one of the groups experiencing the most consequence for these so many preventable health problems. And so it wasn't until so much later, after being a adolescent, that I learned that the things happening to me and to my community were things that actually I have the power to do something about. And I think just having that knowledge and also that visibility, because then once I was in the space, then I found other scientists of color, then I found other women who also cared about the same things. But if that had been available to me 20 years earlier, I mean, I'm sure I would have changed course a little earlier as well. So I think I mean, visibility is multifaceted. Like you need you need the doors to be open, and you need a structure behind them. But it has to start somewhere, and you have to be seen.
And I also think that we've been very intentional in our design for this show in terms of having a very diverse group of central and strong female leads as well. So we want kids who are watching this to be inspired by our characters' excitement and joy around science. And I mean, Magic School was for us, obviously. It was so motivating and joyful for us, and it inspired us to pursue careers in the sciences, and we want to do that for the same for the next generation.
Yeah. And I think going off of both of them, one thing that's really central to our show is this idea of community and compassion and empathy, and how all of those things relate to science. And so if we know, as Camille said, about how things are going on in our communities, the things that are affecting our communities, it helps to build that compassion, that kindness, that empathy for people. And so it really is this tightly intricate, like interwoven concept that science does weave into our lives in many ways, and it dictates a lot of what we see happening around us. And so if we can learn to understand our communities, empathize with each other, it just really lends itself to us understanding science better and promoting science more. And so I think having all of that represented within Middle of Everything is one of the ways in which we hope to have kids be inspired to at least care about scientists, at least care about science, even if they themselves don't want to become scientists. But yes, I think that that's a central part, is like recognizing yourself in these communities, in these stories, and allowing that to help foster that growth and love for science. So.
It's a question. So, as far as storylines and everything, does the show draw from any personal experiences in the science field that you could at least speak on without any spoilers?
Absolutely. So we have honestly thought so much about our characters, about their arcs, about the episodes that will come in the seasons of Middle of Everything. Right now, we're in production of our pilot episode, which actually focuses on the immune system and what vaccines are doing as a training ground and keeping us healthy. And so my personal background is in immunology. I study the immune system and have for the last 10 years. So for me, this episode has been incredibly gratifying, being able to explain what it is that our immune system does, keeping in mind that we want it to be scientifically accurate, but very age appropriate and fun and entertaining and visually pleasing. So that dynamic of working with our animation team and explaining the science and what we want kids to get from it at their age, and watching how they've taken that information, they themselves are learning so much about science, and then teaching us about the animation side of it and visually interpreting what we're telling them about the science. And so that first episode really does center around that concept in science, and in future episodes we touch on so many other topics. There are so many areas of science we care so deeply about, and so those are adventures that the kids are going to go on in future episodes. But the first episode is about the immune system, and we've been working really hard at that.
Just follow up, because like as I'm listening, and I'm thinking of age appropriate, and so with the Magic School Bus, but I don't know if you're all anime fans or whatnot. I thought of Cells at Work, and I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's Cells at Work, basically red blood cell and
Cells at Work.
right.
Yeah.
So something to that effect. But would it ever evolve into or have another section that's older for the older audience?
So I think it's really important for us to capture this critical age group between 12 and 14 where we're starting. I think we thought a lot about what age group to go with and wanted to find a space in which, a little bit earlier, kids start to learn a little bit about some of the basics of science. And by the time they get into middle school, they have the tools to understand some of the concepts that we're going to be tackling. And so I think there is opportunity, absolutely, as the kids grow, for them to jump and learn more. But we do want to spend, and my team members can talk a little bit more about this, but we do want to spend a good amount of time with this age group, I think, and all the adventures and all the things that they can absorb at that sort of preteen right into early teenagehood years. So it was a really intentional choice for us to pick that age group. And of course it can always evolve in the future, but we will spend some time with the characters in that age.
We also really hope that kids will watch this with their families, because it's a very family-friendly show. So if it's on the TV and parents are kind of listening in, then they're also going to get something out of it as well, because the animation is so engaging that it's very accessible to a broad range of people. And we're also not only showcasing this middle school friend group, we're showcasing their families, their parents, their grandparents, and it's a very community-oriented type of show.
Completely.
Nice.
We were actually just speaking about this on the way here, about how some of the things that we love in some of the kids' shows, kids' movies that we see, is how much there's also really a lot of intentionality around bringing in some of the adult storylines through the lens of children, or at an age-appropriate way, and how much when parents watch that content with their kids, they are also gleaning either comedy or really powerful elements of their own stories as adults that they walk through, but in an age-appropriate way. And so in that way, you're creating something that fully stands alone for kids, but is also incredibly family-friendly and can bring the parents and family members along with them. So I think that that's a huge part of, as Madura said, thinking about all of their backstories, bringing in the multi-generational family members and friends. And so it's not just all about science, it's actually very entertainment forward. It's a lot about who these characters are, and the science kind of gets weaved in. So we want kids and families to feel something and learn something sort of through that process.
Yeah, and through just truly really relating to the characters and their experiences. And without giving spoiled, when the pilot episode first opens up, you meet a mom who's a tired single mom, and that is the first entrance into the story. So we have, I think, different audiences would be able to relate in many different ways because of all of the different folds that our characters and their families bring in each scene.
How do each of you balance mental health with what you do and with this project?
I would actually say that this project has really improved our mental health, because I think in the last year we've, as in the science community, have felt very isolated. But this kind of desire to work in collaboration with our community and also in alignment with our community has come to life through the idea and production of this show, because we're already working with our animators, an executive producer, and they're not in the science world, but they've been so joyful about receiving our concept, and they've also brought their own creativity and amplified our whole idea. And so it already feels like, oh, we're working with people that really care about this too, and we're getting a lot of joy and hope out of making it. And so actually this is kind of helping my mental health personally a lot. I can't speak for my teammates, but we hope that when viewers watch this show, they get that same joy and hope as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. At the core of my identity, I'm a public servant. And in any chapter of my career so far, my work has been in dedication to feeling an obligation to make other people's quality of life better. And for many reasons, the last year has made that very hard to do. And when we had the opportunity a couple months ago to present we finished the presentation and got back to our booth, and people lined up and to speak with us and to thank us for our work. And one of the things that was said several times over was, "This gave me hope." And to have that experience, to feel like, we've had these pivots, but our our mission remains the same. And but and just knowing that I can still serve and to be part of a team where we all have these same soulful goals, I think is such a through line.
And lastly, just to add to what they were saying, I think the incredible part about life is that there are going to be really difficult things that come along. And it's really, really easy to be devastated about the way that things are going and to let that paralyze you or make it want to bury your head in the sand. And for us, we were and are, we continue to be devastated by what we're seeing happening. But for us, and as Camille described it once, I'll steal her words because they're so profound, middle of everything was really an incredible turn of page for us to be able to go from everything that we saw happening and still continue to see happening and decide to turn that into something good. And so, as Madura said and Camille has said, it's been incredible for our mental health, just as people too, ourselves, like not even just as scientists, but as people who are growing and going through life, to have such a big event that has really shaken us and then turn from that and say, what are we going to do about it? And then take it and turn it into something that has been so joyful, so powerful for us, and find another way, right? If our what we were doing last year at CDC beforehand is no longer viable, what can we do in the face of all of that? And I think I'm really proud of all of my team that have rallied around the project, that we've found a way to create something really wonderful in the face of a lot of negative things that are going on around us. So,
Last question?
So I know we're at a convention. You've seen so many. We're walking to and from. What is your fandom? What is your thing and why? For all three.
as we're walking around the convention.
No. As far as like your fandom, like what are you into? Star Wars, anime.
Our personal fan.
Yes.
I'm very into Lord of the Rings. So every time I see, some people have very beautiful artwork about Lord of the Rings, and also Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm like very into Avatar: The Last Airbender, and so every time I see that, I'm like, I want to buy it. I want to buy it. What about you, Camille?
Mine's really specific. K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes.
Like I didn't know anything about this movie before going into the theater and was just weeping the entire time because it was like, look at this group of girls who are leaning into their gift and it's like saving the world. This feels so inspiring. Like we should just be ourselves as much as possible. And that is, it's good and it's serving. And so seeing that when I see people, also the costumes are fire. So seeing that when I come around and being able to see those costumes here and the things that are being sold.
Yeah.
It just makes my heart grow so much very quickly.
Yeah. And as for me, just to take a little bit of a different lens, I'm also a movie and TV lover, but I'm a huge reader. So for me, big into fantasy reading and walking around at the con. And we even saw yesterday, we stopped at a couple of booths, authors that are showing their work and their projects and all of their very, very interesting fantasy or somewhat magical realism ideas. To see all of these writers who are here, some of them also doing their own artwork for the covers of their books. That's what I've gravitated towards, is going up to all of the authors and being like, okay, well, what did you write about and who did your artwork and all of that. So I'm really big into the fantasy reading realm.
Well, thank you so much for our interview. Do you have a few minutes to take photos with our press outlets?
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll have you come right where the backdrop is and take the photos.
Yeah.